Welcome to Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free, a podcast for people who are ready to clear the physical, the mental, and the emotional clutter that's been weighing them down. I'm Melanie Cohen, your host, coach, and guide. Each week, we talk about the clutter you can see and the clutter you can't. The stuff in your home, the noise in your head, the expectations, habits, and unmade decisions that quietly drain your energy. This isn't about perfection or minimalism. It's about creating space for what actually matters in this season of your life. Let's lighten up together, starting now. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free, the podcast where we talk about all things clutter. And I have a special guest with me today. I have Aly Breathe, who is an embodied mindset coach who helps people release chronic pain, not by managing it, but by dissolving the deeper story that's been keeping it in place. After years of working with women founders and leaders navigating invisible pressure and burnout, Aly discovered something profound. The body doesn't lie. Chronic pain is often the body's loudest signal that something beneath the surface needs to be seen. Her clients come to her when they've tried everything, doctors, medications, physical therapies, and nothing has truly worked. Through deep coaching conversations, they begin to release what's actually being held in the body. The pain shifts, often dramatically, and it doesn't come back. Aly believes healing is possible in ways most people have stopped letting themselves imagine. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me over and for having me. It is a big, big pleasure. Thank you.
Of course, let's dive in. How did you get to what you're doing now? Like, what was the path to being in the space that you're in?
Yeah. When I was 10, like approximately when I was 6, I started having stuttering. And from the age of 10 to 16, I almost couldn't talk. And sometimes you will hear me most likely stutter a bit in this podcast as well. But in general, like when I was at school, I just wasn't able to talk almost at all. And my teachers were asking me to give answers in the written format, not in the oral format, because it was just easier for me to write and for them to understand me as well. And we've tried everything. We've tried so many different specialists, so many different programs. But nothing really worked and nothing really stuck with me for a long time until I realized that I was trying to hide and I was trying to suppress that stuttering. I was trying to remove myself from not even public speaking, but from everyday life so people won't see me for who I was. And I kind of was living in the prison that I am not allowed to be myself and I am not able to talk and I'm not allowed to express myself fully and I'm not able to express myself fully. And it was quite diminishing and quite hard to live in that way because I wasn't really able to be fully me. And I was trying to rush my way out of things. I was trying to rush me to talk as quick as I can because then people can understand me better. Then I won't be uncomfortable for people. That was the big one for me because I was so afraid to be uncomfortable for others. And no one really told me that up front, but I saw that in their facial expression. And it was tough to just go through that and try to rush, but it only worsened my stuttering. So it was kind of in that constant cycle. And as soon as I let that go and I came back to my true self and allowed me to be fully me and slowing down and feeling safe in slowing down rather than I will be a failure if I slow down, then as you can hear me talk quite normally right now, which is very, very big thing and very, very big change that I've experienced for myself and helping others do the same. It's not specifically stuttering that I'm helping people with, but it is all things pain and all things body sensations that were not there when they were born. And usually they tried everything, as you mentioned in my bio, but nothing really worked because there is a deeper root cause that is happening and that is firing that sensation in their body, even if they have a physical event like surgery or an accident. But there is still that deeper issue that as soon as we let it go, I'm not promising that pain will go away, but every time and time again, I have been seeing that people release that and usually it doesn't let go, especially if person is keeping doing the work. It's not there. It's not there anymore.
So, okay. Thank you so much for all of that, especially knowing That's not easy to talk about for a host of reasons. And I talk all the time about, how clutter presents itself in real life. And so having a stutter or choosing not to speak, we have a friend whose daughter literally did not speak until she was almost 6 years old. And it was a struggle. But I think one of the things that I find in people who stutter is the need to not communicate because people are so impatient. And I have a friend in high school who had a stutter, and it never ceased to amaze me how many times people would say things like, spit it out, hurry up, say it already. And if it were that simple, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, how rude, like how unfeeling to speak to someone in that way. Did you have a lot of that happening when you were a kid?
Yeah, and no matter what people say, they don't understand what is happening on my end, right? They've never been there. No one in my community or in my family have been there. And they never would be able to understand what is the best way to react when that is happening. My mom usually was saying, it's okay, just slow down, it's okay. But sometimes, and also the other thing that is not very, very good is people trying to finish the word for you or guess the word for you. And it's kind of like, I understand that you want to do it of kindness, and I love that for you. But at the same time, the best way for anyone who you have in your world to stutter is to really lock your eyes with them and patiently just wait
Mhm.
and just be with them and just let them feel that I see you, I hear you, I understand what is happening, and I am okay. I am okay with you to be like that. And then they will soothe themselves, then they will be safe in that safe space and finally let go. Because when we are rushed, when we are trying to, like others trying to put some words in our mouth, then um, it frustrates us even more and it doesn't let us really be ourselves. So I think that, and luckily again, I wasn't really bullied for my stuttering. Very, very grateful for that. And that is why, like, I wasn't really feeling that that was my main problem. So that's why I think that kind of helped me release that a bit quicker rather than for other people. But yet at the same time, for 6 years I wasn't able to talk at all. So I got it all, and I was lonely because I wasn't really able to have friends or to communicate with them easily because I was afraid. I was afraid to be uncomfortable, and like no one really told me about that, but it was just my thing. So yeah, I hope that I've answered your question.
Yes, and my takeaway is that it's not necessarily the person who's struggling to speak, but the person who's struggling to listen and their discomfort level when, I don't know, like, should you really be uncomfortable by something like that? And no, I think is the answer. And I think I asked you in the pre-interview, so clearly this was happening when you were a child and you were speaking just Russian, yes?
Yes, yes, yes. And it was much harder to learn English because in Russian, when you are just giving answers in Russian in school, no one needed me to speak. So it wasn't the thing that I need to practice and to learn how to speak. I was learning English. Then there was that thing around speaking is one of the four main components, like reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Uh,
Mhm.
Tested on the tests that we needed to pass every year or every other year or to go somewhere. And no matter that, like my mom was very much connected in that area and she knew people who were teaching, I wasn't able to skip that thing. I had to talk there. And that created so much tension in me in the very early ages. And I think trauma as well. For me, again, no one luckily was really bullying me, but it was that tension for myself that I can't escape that anywhere and anyhow. I needed to speak no matter what. And it was very hard. It was very hard, not because specifically it was English, but because you kind of don't want to make a mistake because it's a new language and you're kind of learning that altogether. But then also it's just, yeah, it was quite tough to combine all of those things together.
I'm just amazed that there wasn't bullying. Like how amazing that is because kids bully over the stupidest things, right? Okay, so let's talk about how you work with people. What does that look like?
Yeah. I first of all meet them where they are. I want to understand what is happening in their body, what was their experience before, and how does it all affect their life right now. Usually they're coming to me, I have a pain, I have chronic pain, I have migraines, or I have sleep issues, or some people even I can't conceive. For 3 years we've been trying and it didn't work out. Can you help me with that? And I'm like, not physically, I'm not in the business of helping with that physically, but emotionally and mentally, absolutely. Because every single time when people and one person is struggling with something that is not what doctors can say, what is the reason? The doctors can say what is it, diagnosis, then there is something deeper. Especially when you've tried everything and nothing really worked, that it's very, very clear sign that that's something deeper. And deeper is always, always connected with the emotional state and with the mental state of the person. And it is also always connected with the things that we've believed in when we were younger. Things like, I'm not good enough, I am broken, I'm not allowed or welcomed to be myself, I'm not safe to be myself, I'm not gonna be okay. All of those prisons that people are living in, they are lies, but they are limitations that are limiting them very, very actively, and they are very alive right now and preventing them from living their full life. Like, for example, if a person believes I'm not gonna be okay, then sometimes they even stop searching for an answer and searching for, like, they start believing that they can heal, and that removes them from so many possibilities of releasing what is really holding them back. And it all starts from the belief I'm not going to be okay, and then it's a big cascade of things that are happening on the outcome of that as well.
Right. I think I see on a regular basis how our physical health is affected by our mental health, and vice versa, how our mental health is affected by our physical health. And I don't think that there is enough done in Western medicine to address that. I don't think that enough people are getting the mental health support that they deserve and would benefit from. And I don't, and as the result, I think we end up like fighting, getting better. And one of the things that never ceases to amaze me since you talked about fertility is how many people I know. This is not for everybody. I want to make sure that this doesn't sound trite in any way, but how many people that I know struggled through conception and did in vitro. They started with artificial insemination, then went to in vitro and spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And when they finally threw their arms up in the air and said, I quit, that's when they got pregnant. And I think it was like a lessening of the pressure
Absolutely.
on making that happen. And again, that doesn't solve it for everybody. But I think it does speak to how many other things are happening in our body that if we started reducing stress and anxiety, how much we would benefit from that. What does working with you look like?
Yeah. And and coming back to that idea of utility, um it's like, imagine that a woman is in the state of constantly running off the tiger, like constantly fleeting and constantly flying away from the danger. And her body is filled with cortisol because her brain thinks that she's running away again and again every single day. And that means that her body is fighting for her own life. When her body is fighting for her own life and her body is filled with cortisol, it's impossible to start a new life because you are fighting for your own, and your body mainly want to take care of itself first for its existence, because existence and keep us being alive is the main primal instinct for our brain and our body. And of course, we will do everything subconsciously and consciously around making us feel safe and alive. And usually, like all of those procedures that you've mentioned, so many women are terrified by them, and they are so painful, and they are so, like, there's so much emotions around that going on. It's not only about the physical. And of course they don't work because people are afraid of that, and usually especially because they paid so much money and that is their only hope, and then it doesn't work out, then they're blaming themselves because that means that something is wrong with me. Then they are like just not believing that anything can change and can happen. And that is the most terrifying place to be in, because if you are hopeless, then there is no reason to keep living, to be honest. And it can be that hard. And for people with chronic pain as well, like I'm just inside so many communities on Facebook and Reddit where like there are thousands of people who are in pain, and there are, I don't know, 10, 20 messages every hour from people who are in pain, like on intensity 11 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Some people are just saying, I can't do this anymore. And of course, there are thousands, not thousands, but dozens of messages under them trying to like help them to keep living. But it's just showing that like every fifth person on planet Earth is in pain. And how many of us are talking about that? It's usually a thing that we are just, I'm okay with it. I got used to that. We are getting too comfortable with the uncomfortable. And then we stop sharing. And then there is no hope anymore. And people are just miserable for the rest of their life. And no matter the things that are happening in our world right now on the global level are happening because people are just in pain and people like don't see any way out at all. I do. And I love to find more and more people to give them that way out as well so they can see that as well. But coming back again to your question around how do people work with me, again, we all start with deep dive because I'm not a usual coach. I am not telling them that is my price and come work with me, because I've been scammed many times myself by other coaches when I cannot really experience them and understand whether it works for me or not before paying. And I have my own podcast where people can listen to my coaching live and see the transformations that I'm giving them. There's number one. And number two, when they are coming to me, we are doing a full deep dive so I can understand like what prisons they are living in and at the same time give them some of the relief. So then they can like come back into like, okay, I feel the difference. I feel the shift. Because if you don't feel the shift, like, why would we start working for a whole year together if I won't enjoy that and you won't see any difference about that as well? And then as soon as we agree, both of us feel the sync, then we are going inside and start working together. Right now, I'm working only for minimum for 1 year because I have seen that people are going up and down, and especially like, for example, many coaches are working up to 6 months, and so often at the 6 months mark, people start to experience difference, and then people just go for their own journey because they might be overwhelmed because there is quite a lot of things that they need to go through, and they think that, oh, I'm tired, I just need to rest. And the transformation doesn't really let go. It's kind of, we planted a seed and we were watering it every other week or every week. But then at one point we are just, oh, I'm tired. I stop watering that seed anymore, or I start trying to dig in the soil, trying to find, is it growing or not? And that lack of patience usually creates the frustration because like it's just not enough time, because we've been living for 2, 3, 4 decades with the prisons that we have in our head, and it led us to the life that we have right now. It's not possible to change them completely to the extent that they will stick in 1 month, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I found that the most transformation happen when it's happening in a year time. And then like my main 2 components is I'm working on the mindset level and on the embodiment level. 2 main things. We are working with emotions and we are working with mental prisons that are causing those emotions. And of course, later on, it's all around what action do we want to take from that 2.0 world, because mainly people are living in 1.0, whereas the fear, scarcity, lack, and lots of just no possibilities there because they are living in the prison. And the 2.0 world is all around possibility, love, vitality, and abundance. And when people start fully living from that state, everything is possible on the health level, on the financial level, on the relationship level as well.
Okay, so you made me think of so many things. I love listening to you because you say so many really powerful things. But one of my takeaways was the idea of most people are looking for a quick fix. When you were like, I don't do this in one session. I don't do this over a few months. This is a real investment. But that's why people pop pills. It's like, this is going to make me feel better. And then it does. But it's short term. This isn't a cure. This is just a Band-Aid. And I think that people are afraid to do the inner work. They are afraid of what's going to come out of it, or they just don't understand that there is an impact. To me, it's kind of akin to not enough people lean into Eastern medicine. Let's be fair, doing things like acupuncture, paying attention to what foods may be affecting your body, herbs, and all that. But I don't think that exists in a vacuum. I think there is a marriage between Eastern medicine and Western medicine that makes both of us, or all of us, I mean to say, most of us, better. And what would happen if you were doing the work on the mental and emotional health all at the same time as all the other things, as this great way to actually see more of a cure than anything else? Would you agree with that? That's my takeaway from what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It is all coming from all of the areas, and I'm not saying like don't do pills if you can't live with them. Of course, like go ahead
Right.
and do them, but it's all the idea around if we keep believing that it's not gonna help, it's not gonna work, or that very thing will be the quick fix and I will be healed forever, but then next day we are waking up with the same thought, oh, it's not gonna working, or I'm broken. Like that is the main thing what I usually hear from people with chronic pain or who struggle to conceive. I am broken or there is something wrong with me. And when they keep believing that, our brain scans for the evidence in life to prove us right.
Mm.
No matter how bad we are trying all of the things, as soon as we keep believing there is something wrong with me, I am broken, then our life will keep reminding us that that is true. Because our main function of our brain is to keep the brain right and to keep us safe. And usually safe equals right. And when we keep trying everything, but core deep issue is that I am broken and I am not good enough and there is something wrong with me, no matter what advertisement was there, no matter how big of a placebo effect that thing has, it won't work out because at the end our brain is much more powerful rather than anything outside, and it will keep proving us that you keep believing that, you keep getting that.
Yes, 100%. You also made me think as you were speaking about the concept of running towards something as opposed to running away from something. That it is very valid to say, I don't want to be in pain. It's a very valid thing. But what happens when the focus becomes the thing that we want? I want to be pain free, or I want to be able to run, dance, skip, bend over and pick things up and be able to do all of those things. When we focus on the thing that we really want to have happen, as opposed to like sitting in the, I don't want this anymore, I think both we physically and mentally take the action necessary to get there. Like searching someone like you out to assist in it as opposed to like, well, I'm just going to white knuckle it, like I'll figure it out. Or you're right, like the pain is my prison and I'm just going to live in this prison for the rest of my life because there's no opportunity for that getting better, right?
Yeah, and people getting too comfortable in that zone, and then they are like, oh, it's much more comfortable being in pain rather than seeing all my demons face to face. It's a big one as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I was having a conversation with more than one person today about compulsive behaviors, and I talk all the, I lost over 60 pounds 25 years ago, and it was my weight sheltered me from doing bigger and better things. And I was using food as a way to manage uncomfortable feelings,
Absolutely.
And one of the people I was talking to was my father, who is now 35 years clean. He was a crack addict. And again, the drugs, a really great way to avoid the negative and unwanted feelings that we want to experience. But the same is true for over shopping, smoking, gambling, other behaviors that like feel good and have a dopamine hit to them. And like, what if the dopamine hit was doing the inner work? Like, I keep going back to the inner work. Like, what
Yeah,
if that felt good enough that you didn't stay in the uncomfortable stuff? I mean, and because none of those things work, it's like squashing the feelings down. Like,
absolutely.
if I eat, drink, smoke, whatever it is, I don't have to feel the feeling.
Yeah. It gets too uncomfortable before it gets comfortable inside that work. And people don't want to go through that because they feel that it's just worsen their experience. Like if anyone is getting rid of the addiction, there is always that period of when they feel much worse and they feel that they won't be able to keep living. And like maybe a week, 2 or 3, maybe months, maybe months later, they are like, oh my lord, I didn't really need that. Yeah, and on the point around focusing on what you want rather than focusing on what you don't want, I will share an example that I've heard on a very powerful stage. There was a big entrepreneur, a big motivational speaker that wanted to learn how to race drive. And they went into the facility in Northern Carolina, and the very professional race driver and teacher made him like they first did the course, and that big motivational speaker was like, "Oh my lord, I will never do that. I don't want to do that because it was so scary. I will never be able to do that." But they started doing that over and over and over again, and the coach was telling that guy, as soon as you, they were practicing first on a spinning car, meaning that at some point the coach will press a button and one wheel will be up in the air, so the car start to spin. And for the person who is in the driving seat, they had to find a way out of it. And usually what people love to do is look at the wall that they are approaching. And so then they can do everything to remove the wheel out of that wall. But because our focus there, every single one of us and the car is going into that wall. As soon as you focus on that wall, the car will go inside that wall. So the coach was not really doing anything with the wheel. The coach was putting the head away of that driver to focus on the road. And it was like big speed, and it was very scary. But as soon as the person really starts, because like it's like it's the very big primal instinct inside of us to focus on the thing that, for example, is on fire, to avoid that. But then we are keep going closer and closer towards it. So coming back to the idea, I don't want to be in pain. It's a good strategy, but at the same time, you still are inside that prison, that box. It's kind of saying that you are in prison and saying, I don't want that window, or I don't want that light away, like off that window, or I don't want that bar, but you're still inside the prison. What we are doing inside of my work, we are removing the prison. We are stepping away from it, because like being okay with living in pain is like saying, oh, well, yes, I'm in prison, but at least I have a pull-up bar and I can do the pull-ups every single day. Not knowing that outside of the prison, there are so many gyms and so many possibilities and so many opportunities where you cannot do just the pull-up, but so many things, like do the mountain skiing, I don't know. But it all comes from that belief, and that like giving yourself a permission to trust that there is something bigger and that there is an answer, rather than to keep being, because being victim is very comfortable. Everyone pays attention to you. Everyone is around you. Everyone is there for you. You can say so many things around, oh, I am in pain. I am so poor. I am so like bad. Like I feel so bad, and all of that. And everyone will listen. Everyone will be there for you. It is uncomfortable to let go of the pain, but it is less uncomfortable than living with it.
100%. 100%. So tell me about your best client, and it doesn't have to be an actual person. Like, what does that person look like?
Yeah. It is usually a founder that is building something big, that has a huge mission and vision for the world. Their heart has been scattered into many pieces because of adversity that they've faced at some point, and they want to change that in the world so no one else would face that thing ever again. but they are debilitated by the pain, by the physical condition that is not allowing them to start being free and full of energy and complete every single dream that they have in the life. And what they're usually doing, they are pushing through. They are pushing it harder and harder and harder, and they are not allowing themselves to rest and to let go and to be still and to just allow that pain to be in their body. They are in constant resistance of that pain, and that amplifies it. And what I love to do, and yeah, like in terms of I don't know the age, it's about from 30 years old to 55. And they've tried everything. They've tried physiotherapy, they've tried massages, they've tried acupuncture, and they've tried Western and Eastern world, and still nothing works out. And still they feel that there is something more available for them. Then we can really work, and then we can really shift everything, because as soon as they let go of pain, they're like, I can finally breathe. I can finally be there and enjoy every single day of my life, rather than wake up in constant pain and hate their life, or being so comfortable inside the pain, or getting used to that pain so much that they don't even know how is it like to live without that pain anymore.
Right. I love that idea. You can finally breathe. So talk about your name on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, my first and last name are originally from Russia, and I love them. And at the same time, I wanted to create a nickname which will be easier for people to remember and easier for people to remind themselves around that one constant thing that we always have in our life, and it is breath. And the power of it is insane. And yet, so many of us are living our life with holding our breath very, very tightly throughout the day, night, and some big or bad, like good or bad circumstances. And yeah,
There's so many people out there that are like, I'm one of them. Like, I can't believe how often I find myself holding my breath, which is when I do find that a message about what's happening around me or what's going on inside, that, that I'm holding my breath. What a crazy thing to do. Our breath is supposed to be like the most natural thing, right? In with the oxygen. Come on, people. So, what is your given name?
yeah, it is Alyona Rivkina. So Ali Breathe are both part of the nickname, but Alyona Brivkina, it is my full name.
I love asking the question because I live in a place where there are a lot of Russian people and a
Yeah.
lot of Russian speakers. And my family is predominantly from Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland. I get spoken to in Russian a lot because it looks like I would be able to speak that. And I think you and I had talked before about how my younger daughter was studying abroad in St. Petersburg, Russia, when the pandemic hit. So, for those of you who haven't heard me talk about it before, and I talk about it a lot because I feel so sorry for her. She couldn't wait to go. She got a good solid 2 months there, but came home months before she was supposed to. So she's the one in the house that can speak and listen or understand Russian when spoken to. Tell everybody where we're recording from.
Yeah, absolutely. I am in Canada, in Montreal right now. It means so much to me when a person remembers my first name and calls me by it. It feels very different and very unusual. And also at the same time, I am made it in a very interesting way, my new personality and my new identity. Like, who am I as Alyona? It is different. Who am I as Aly Breathe? And I love that, because there are two parts of me that are interacting with each other, and it's just finding the best application for me. I'm still is there at my core, but just Alyona was much more scared because of her stuttering rather than Ali. And Ali is much more there and moving with the fear together, rather than just being in constant tension and not allowing herself to keep moving forward.
Sure, sure. I love that. It's the transformation,
Yeah.
right? In so many different ways. Okay, I don't remember if we talked about this. So you live in Montreal. So do you speak French also?
I don't. And now I'm getting ready to go to Australia next year. So I have a big move.
You won't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Montreal in general, people can speak English.
Yeah.
It's not Quebec, like, it's not Quebec city, but at the same time, like, the default language is French, but then you can always ask, can you speak English?
So where are you planning on going to in Australia?
Eastern part, I believe Gold Coast. We'll see how the time will allow and what will happen there. But yeah, I am the idea around all of that is that for me to get there, and plus also in a very big connection with my business as well, I'm creating a big project right now that is called Global Chronic Pain Relief Project, where I invite people on my podcast and I give them full coaching session, and I want to get to up to 50 to 100 people. So then I can create a case study, a big case study of many people inside, and then write a book and then translate it into Russian as well, and then like do the speaking gigs as well. So then I have that body of work and the proof that people have removed and released pain from their body, and really spreading the spreading the word to the world that that is all possible, rather than just being stuck inside their own limitations and keep not believing that that is possible, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. You make me think of something. Since this is the podcast about clutter, someone who lives in another country and then picks up and moves to another country. I mean, the reality is if I were going to another country, as a clutter expert, I'd look around and go, "Oh my God, what am I going to do with all this
Yeah,
stuff?" Right?
absolutely.
So tell me how stuff is affected by your move.
Yeah. Well, I've been on the move since 17, I believe. It's been constant. I knew that I would not stay in one place. In Canada, I moved into 3 different places, and then, like, also right now, it's a huge move that is happening. So I've been minimalist for quite a long time, and I am not really um buy so many things, and at the same time it is also part of my coaching with my clients that the first thing that I invite them to do is to start decluttering their physical space, their mental space, their digital space, relationships, or some also health connected things, like start slowly removing all of the sugar from their life, or like snacks or anything like that. And I've started doing that already because I thought that I would move to another country at the end of August, and I've started doing that already, to just start selling things online on the Facebook Marketplace. But at the same time, I just know that things in life worth for me much better. I'm sorry, for me much less rather than experiences. And I moved here with, like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 bags, I think, from Calgary. But now it's all about I don't need much. I am almost in the same t-shirt. Like, I have maybe 2 different t-shirts that I'm wearing every single day because I'm working from home, and I genuinely don't need more. Like 1 or 2 good quality, and then I genuinely don't need more. Um, and yeah, just going through that, and also having friends who can help you with just having some of your stuff there, but then also just like letting go of things that keep and hold that memory. Yes, of course, there are parts of me that still want to like I have I have so many medals right now under my table because I was competing in so many things, but then I'm trying to get the lesson from it that is much more valuable rather than the medal itself. So then I can let go of even that medal, even though it has so much meaningful value for me there and so many lessons. But at the same time, it's all about becoming aware of all of your lessons and not holding to them with the physical things, because it's all representing your past self, like that version of 1.0, and coming back to your present self and understanding, like, what do you want to create from now on. It is scary to let go of things because you think that you let go of yourself. But with
Yes, you are speaking my
I
language
know.
now, it's kind of like, so I was a competitive gymnast growing up, so I had trophies and medals and ribbons, and I let the trophies and medals go. To me, they took up so much room. I kept the ribbons because There's a lot of them in a very small space.
Mhm.
I also love them because they're colorful. Like I'm like a big color person. And so I love that they're blue and yellow and green and red, but depending on what I placed in that particular competition. But it is a reminder that the memories are not in the things, the memories are within us. And that letting things go does not negate the past. Like the past still exists. And I also think, and I think this happens as we age. I mean, I have quite a few years on you. And so as we get even older, that somehow our things are like proof of life, proof I was on this planet, proof that I did good things, nice things, accomplished things. And I think it's because we don't do a good enough job of like doing that for ourselves, like whether you're just like closing your eyes and doing a meditation and remembering, a positive thing. I also love having you here because one of the things that I talk about regularly is that I'm not a minimalist and that I have no interest in being one because I love things. But everything has energy, and that's good energy and bad energy, and that's people and things. And so if the things that we have don't have good energy, we have to let them go. And it doesn't matter who it belonged to, how much it cost, who gifted it to you, because suddenly, back to what I was saying before, if we let go of the thing that belonged to somebody else, it doesn't mean we negate that person. It doesn't mean that person wasn't on this planet. It doesn't mean that person wasn't in our life. And so I have so many less items than I did when I started this journey. So many. And I think, my too stuff is too much for someone like you, but it's also too little for somebody else. So there isn't a right or wrong amount of how many things to own or have. It's what's the right amount for you. Where is it where you get to enjoy and appreciate your things without being overwhelmed by them? And again, like everyone's going to have a different, number associated with it. But I love that you encourage your clients to manage their clutter as a part of this journey because clutter contributes to so many health issues, whether it's because of dust particles, issues with allergies and upper respiratory issues. There are more falls and injuries associated with, in that case, it's more high level hoarding. But the amount of mental clutter is associated with the physical clutter, although it goes the other way, that the physical clutter can create the emotional and mental clutter. So letting go of the stuff, man, it can fix so much. It really can fix so much. I'm so happy you were here today. So, first of all, what's something that you want to make sure that people take home with them today? What's something you want them to remember?
I want them to remember one question that I invite them to ask themselves is, who would you be in the absence of your concerns? Who would you be in the absence of your concerns? So they need to first understand, what are my concerns? What are my limitations? I'm sorry, it's not the right question. Who would you be in the absence of your constraints? Not concerns, constraints. But it's close, and so many of us are honestly blind to our own constraints. And that's okay. We can start with the first one. What is the first tiny one that, like, we are, maybe a thing that we keep procrastinating, maybe a project that we can't start doing, maybe the clutter that we can't start decluttering. Why? Really ask and sit with it. Why? What is there? What is the thing that you're afraid of? And then ask, like, what if that thing was not there? What if I don't have a fear ever again? What then? Who would I be? How would I feel? That only question can bring so much. And the awareness of that all is the starting point of that journey to complete freedom.
Right. Okay. I love it. The concept of the constraints, what I'm holding back. But I actually don't think that concern is such a bad word because
Yeah.
for me, what I hear in that is, what would I be if I wasn't worried all the time? Which is so connected to that too. This was so much fun. Aly, how can people find you?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn and on Instagram and on Facebook by Aly Breathe. ALY and Breathe. If you are ever in pain and want to connect with me and to participate in that big project that I am doing right now, please do. And just say that you are from Declutter podcast, so I can understand where you're coming from. And yeah, I'm just here for people to just chat and understand if there is a way that I can help them, or maybe the loved ones, because we all know one person who is in pain. Because if there are like five, every fifth person is in pain, we definitely know at least one person. So I'm happy to connect, and thank you so much again for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
So everybody should know that all of Aly's information is going to be in the show notes. You can check it out there. And I'm so happy we had you on today.
Thank you so much. Me too.
Thank you for listening to Lighten Up the Art of Living Clutter-Free. If this episode resonated, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use just a little bit of lightness. If you're ready for deeper support, you can work with me one-on-one or join my Lighten Up Clutter-Free Mindset Group program. You can find all the details at my website, thoughtfullycoaching.com. Until next time, progress over perfection. Messy action is better than no action at all. So let's lighten up.